Welcome back to Financial Behavior Thought Leaders. I'm Mary, and this podcast takes you behind the scenes with speakers in financial services. In season 2, we're actually focusing on the future of financial conversations, how trust, communication, and decision making are evolving, and what this means for you and the way we engage with money in our work and in our lives. So, whether you're in financial services, planning events, or simply navigating your own financial decisions, you're in the right place. Make sure to subscribe so you can catch every episode. Today, we're going to explore what it actually means to be an irreplaceable advisor in the age of AI and how the human side of work is evolving and becoming more valuable than ever before. And I'm excited to be joined today by my friend Ashley Quamme, a licensed marriage and family therapist, a financial behavior specialist, and founder of Beyond the Plan. Ashley, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Mary.
Yeah, I love having you on. And we're going to dig right in to your speech about the irreplaceable advisor. I want to start off, though, by asking you when did you really start noticing that the relational side of money is becoming a differentiator rather than just a nice to have side note? Kind of, that whole idea of soft skills, emotional intelligence. When have you seen it start to take main stage?
I started this work because it was this idea or thought around, hey, like advisors carry a lot of the load by themselves. There is a relational aspect to this work that they're not trained on, that, maybe they don't have the skills for. And so I think I can help. Right. And so
Mhm.
I started kind of this work and like, hey, like I'd like to help out with this. And hey, I'll also see your clients for one on one coaching for maybe problems that you maybe either don't want to take on or just don't know how. And so it's just kind of, it started out as just this belief of like, I think that this is a good idea, but that's all I had and was able, there were a few people that, oh man, they're like, I think it's a good idea too. Where things started to click for me though, with one of the firms that I was working with and still to this day, working with is we got on a call and we were going over, like, "Hey, how are things going?" Kind of a catch up, a call, and he was telling me about some prospects that were in the pipeline, he started to then share about this prospect, and one of the reasons that they were attracted to his firm is
Mhm.
because I was on their webpage. And not me, like, not me as Ashley Quamme, but this role as a chief behavioral officer, and what are the things I talk about? What are the things that I do? What are the things that I help with?
Yeah.
That role piece was attractive to them, and it was the thing that they wanted. And that was a moment for me where it was like, "Oh, like, this is a differentiator. Like,
Yeah.
this is what clients, it's not just about what do advisors like want, but like what
Mhm.
does the end client want? What are they looking for?"
Well, I do have to share this quick experience because I was on a call yesterday with someone down in Texas, and they said, "Oh yeah, Ashley's now down in Austin, right?" And same thing. It's like, where in the world is Ashley? Because you're starting to see you as a fractional behavioral officer on multiple clients, and I think that I love that thought of. Sure, if that is a full time role, I know like Rick Kaler has someone that is full time
Exactly.
embedded in his team. Fantastic. But I love this idea that you're saying this isn't just for the advisors, because I think a lot of advisors sometimes get scared from this, like, hey, that's not what my expertise is in. I'm not trained to do this. But the sheer fact that what you're saying is clients are asking for this. They want it from their financial advisor. They're not going to their therapist to ask for it. They're going to their financial advisor to say, help me understand money better. Help me do this better. And it makes, I mean, I'd argue, right? It makes for a better client experience at the end of the day. What
It
is some of the
does.
feedback that you've heard in terms of what clients are experiencing?
Yeah. I mean, when myself or like our team, like when we're meeting with clients, their statements of, I didn't know I could talk about this with somebody.
Yeah.
Or I didn't know I could have this kind of conversation and talk about money this way, or my retirement, or I have nobody in my life that I can talk to about what this is like to inherit, suddenly, right, from the sale of a business, and no one in my family is wealthy and I can't talk to them about it or my friends. I have nobody. this is amazing that I have an outlet. I have a place, someone that I can turn to talk about this. So, like the feedback, you can see like there's just visible relief. There's also interest and curiosity
Mm.
around like, I didn't know that this exists. This is very cool. And hey, what else can you help me with? Can we talk about this? Like, I'm getting ready to retire and I have no idea what I'm going to do with my time. Is that something you can help me with? Like, I mean, it kind of runs the gamut. I'm talking about things that are maybe a little bit more positive, but then there's also the other side of that spectrum around, hey, I lost my partner and I wasn't the financial CFO in the relationship and I'm kind of lost and my advisor is telling me these things that like I should be doing, but my goodness, like I can't my focus is just getting through the day. Like
Yeah.
I just want to get through the day or the week. So it runs the gamut in terms of things that like we talk about, but on the client end, like I'll knock on wood, like overwhelmingly, like the feedback has been, this is incredibly helpful. This is incredibly like supportive. I love that our firm, their firm, like I love that this is an offering. This makes a lot of sense there. So knock on wood, like knock on wood, it's been a great experience on the end client side.
Yeah. Well, and I want to dig in here because I think the other part of this is in the past, advisors have been, hey, they come to me for financial advice. They're not coming to me for moral support. They're not coming to me for emotional support. But I think you've just hit it on the head. And I hear this a lot with, hey, my spouse, and let's talk about that $30 trillion transfer of money moving from men to women. They are coming to you for more than just numbers on a page. And if that is your current playbook, it's not going to be working, I'd say even 5 years from now. We are seeing such tremendous change on that front. And so I would like you to dig in a little bit. What's the cost? If you're still putting yourself out there as my technical expertise is what I am selling, and that is the end of it. What is the cost of staying with that old playbook and not transitioning into this connection?
I don't know what the numbers cost is, but what I can tell you is that you're gonna be left behind.
Mm.
And that can look like maybe a lot of different things. I don't have my magic crystal ball. Like I can't predict that. I wouldn't say like your business is going to fail and you will lose all of your clients, but you will be left behind. If you're operating out of that old playbook. I think that's a fantastic way to frame that. There's this little thing called AI and maybe people
Maybe you've
maybe
heard
people
of it before.
maybe
I don't
people
know.
maybe people have heard of them, maybe they haven't,
Maybe
but
you used it. I don't know.
being good at the technical side of planning now is table stakes.
Yeah.
Like that's, AI, like technology
Bare
is
minimum.
coming in, like that's the bare minimum.
Yeah.
That's like, clients know they're not coming to you for wealth management. They might say that, but like their expectation though is like, yeah, I expect you to know how to do a portfolio analysis or to take, all of this information and to tell me where the gaps are. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but how do you help me spend more money?
Yeah.
Like, I know that we've accumulated quite a bit, and we'd like to be able to spend it, but we don't really know how. Or how do you like get me over that hump to where I can talk to my adult children about, our estate plan or what legacy means to us? Like those are the things that they're coming to. They just might say like, well, we are getting ready to retire and we just need some support with, you know, our retirement plan and getting ready. Yeah, but there's like a subtext to all of that. And I think, what we're starting to see is that for millennials now who are, we're in our 40s, right? We're kind of
Ish.
ish, like kind of that like mid-career, starting to get to be like mid-career. Like
Yeah.
we are familiar with services like coaching, like
Yeah.
therapy, that center around like how do we help you thrive and flourish. And they're going to be looking to wealth management firms for that, just on the financial side. How do you help us flourish as a couple and utilize our wealth as a way to, make those dreams like possible. I sound like a Disney commercial right now. Um,
I believe. I believe.
I feel like Disney should hire me. um, so that old playbook, Mary, like you're going to be left behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ultimately.
Well, okay. So you've built a whole framework around this. Your keynote is called The Irreplaceable Advisor Mastering 7 Skills That AI Cannot Replicate. So I want you to tell us more about the Beyond the Plan framework and the 7 core relational competencies. Where do they come from and what does it mean in practice?
Yeah, so this comes from, work in the financial psychology space, work in the marriage and family therapy space or counseling space. It comes from decades of research around what makes for successful relationships. What are the not just qualities, but we'll call them skills that people possess or don't possess.
Hmm.
What are those things that are helpful? And this isn't just for romantic relationships, this is also for professional relationships as well. And so, these 7 skills, when we were looking at like what are the skills that an advisor needs to have in this age of AI technology. Like, what are the things that they need to have so that they are not left behind? We came up with 7 skills there, and I'm happy to go through them if that makes
Well, why
sense.
don't you give us one or two of those most important skills? Well, I shouldn't say most important, the ones that surprise advisors most when they hear them. What's one or two of those skills?
You know what? That's a great question. I don't know if there's one that surprises them the most. I think here are some of the ones that they assume there.
Okay.
Foundational communication skills, knowing
Mhm.
how to ask open-ended questions, knowing, how to not jump in and just fix or problem solve, how to like pause and ask permission. Like, would you like to hear my feedback on this? I have a few thoughts. Would you be willing to hear this? Instead of jumping right to problem solving mode. That's like one of the like I okay, we expect to know or for that to be a skill. Some of the other ones that I don't know if they're surprising, but they certainly are interesting. Center around like behavioral pattern recognition. And what I mean by
Mm.
that is things like a client is demonstrating repeatedly that they're not following through with your advice. Or one of my favorites was when I say we, one of the firms that we work for, we had this client, and whenever things became out of control in this client's life, they reached for liquidity, meaning they wanted to turn things to cash. And they would want to see a lot of cash because that made them feel safe. So things in their life, like, would not be going well. And, or the market would turn and, things were uncertain and they would
Mhm.
want to reach for liquidity. That's a behavioral pattern that if we can recognize that and name it for what it is, then we know how to approach it, right? Instead of just, no, Mary, we can't, liquidate a significant portion of your portfolio to cash. That wouldn't make sense right now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, logically, that doesn't make sense. But if that's their pattern and their way of operating, that's what they know is safe. So, behavioral pattern recognition is a big one. How to navigate sensitive conversations or difficult conversations. Every advisor, for
Mhm.
as long as you stay in the business, it's not a matter of if you will come across a hard conversation, it's a
It's
matter of
when.
when.
Yep.
And you need to know how to navigate sensitive conversations, difficult conversations with an element of sensitivity. If a client has lost their spouse, or if you have a couple and one of their kids is going through an addiction, and they want to pay and use a portion of their portfolio to pay for that treatment facility. And guess what? This isn't the first time, it's the second time. Like, how do
Mhm.
you navigate that with sensitivity and care? To where you're not stepping on their toes or inadvertently sticking your foot, uh, you know, in your mouth. We have some other ones around like boundaries and like self
Mm.
awareness. So like self of the advisor. When are you reaching burnout? When you look at your calendar and you start rolling your eyes because you see that client showing up, like that's a boundary self awareness like skill of knowing,
Yeah.
ooh, maybe I don't need to be working with this. Like Karen calls me like at least 2 to 3 times a month. And every time I feel this sensation in my body and it's not a good one. Maybe I need to do something about this there. And I'll say the last one here, which is probably I don't want to name it as the hardest. It's
Okay.
collaborative decision making. How do we help clients collaboratively? How do we help them to make decisions like as us as a team instead of me dictating and telling them what they should do? So, for example, a client comes to you and says, "Maybe I should sell my house. I'm thinking about selling my house." You know that it's their dream house that they've built, and maybe they're wanting to sell it for reasons that maybe the client is just anxious or unsure. Right
Yeah.
now's a good time to sell. Maybe we should sell. You could run the numbers and then say to them, "Hey, actually, like, yeah, you would be fine if you sold the house. I think that's what you should do." But then the client doesn't follow through on that. You've not helped you have not come to this problem in a collaborative way to help the client. You've dictated what you think they should do.
Yeah.
And yes, you're right that they can, but a client doesn't want to be told what to do in those moments. Like, how do you
Yeah.
take that moment and collaboratively talk through it with them? How do you ask questions? How do you present the information in such a way that they ultimately come out of it making the decision themselves?
Well, and I think that's so interesting too, because so often we're so surprised when the client doesn't take our advice. And it's
Right.
like, do you have a teenager?
Yeah.
How often do they take that advice? Like, we're not that far off here. Well,
Mm-mm.
so Ashley, let's be honest. Those skills that you just mentioned, each one of them could be its own masterclass. Like, so what I'm hearing you say, this is not like a bullet point checklist of, oh, yep, reflective listen, good job. Like, met this, met this. This is just something that it's like practice, 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 and just integrate into the point that you're doing this with your spouse, you're doing this with your teenager, you're doing this in your meetings. So my question is like looking at this as an advisor, are they able to to look at this and recognize and say, "Oh, this is the moment I've got to deploy this out of my bag." How do they get to that point, and how do you work with them to where they're cognizant and can start to do some of this yourself instead of constantly pull you in to these conversations? What does that look like?
So there is an element here of education and like training. Like you have to learn what these are to know. And I find that, for a lot of advisors, they might say, "Oh, like I didn't know that that was a skill." But
Mhm.
I actually do approach major financial decisions with my clients in a collaborative way. Oh, I didn't realize that that was a specific skill. Now that makes sense to me because I get a lot of referrals from clients that, because of moments like that, they'll mention that I
Mhm.
helped them with that moment that I actually didn't really think that I was being helpful like, in because I didn't tell them what to do. So, like, there's an education piece that I think when we have that, it brings just to the awareness of like, these are skills that make me an irreplaceable advisor. It's not just I'm doing something willy nilly that just, or because of my personality. Like, these are intentional things that make or break a relationship. So, the education comes first. I love what you said though about the practice. Um, Megan Lert's my partner, who I know that and
No,
partner in
yeah.
business, not in real life. Let me
Thanks for
just
the clarification.
okay, did that need clarification? I don't know. I feel like Clayton would probably want it clarified. Meg would probably be down for whatever.
So your
So
business partner,
my
Meg.
business partner, Meg, she talks about like these skills, or communication skills as a contact sport. Like you have to
Yeah,
practice them. Like
yeah,
she uses like Patrick Mahomes, who
yeah.
I don't care for the Chiefs, but whatever, we'll go with him.
Our
Like
Texas Tech boy.
he didn't just wake up one day to become a great quarterback. Like
No.
he was out there practicing like over and over. And these skills, they do take practice. You can have the education. You can go through a training program, how to communicate better as an advisor, but that does you no good if you're not taking that and then practicing them. And Mary,
Yeah.
the other thing you mentioned, the good part about this is that you can practice all of these with everyone in your life. Like,
Yep.
this is not just
Everyone.
business specific. Like, you can practice them with your kids. Try out collaborative decision making with your teenagers and see if that gets you a little further.
Or even your spouse, right?
Or
Like,
your
I've had
spouse.
so many come back to me like, "I tried this on my spouse, and guess what? We talk better, like, we
Right?
communicate better." They actually listened to me,
I've
and
l-
I shut up and
literally
listened, and I was like, "Wow, it's
I've had
amazing."
male advisors, I'm gender stereotyping here, I
Yes.
get but, like, I've had male advisors say to me, "Ashley, I I I didn't do that whole, like, jumping in and fixing things right away with my wife, like, I actually resisted, like, the writing reflex that you talk about, and she thanked me later, like, for a great conversation, like, we didn't get in a fight." I'm like, "Yeah, man, like, I'm only gonna charge you on the I'm not double charging
On the
you for
personal side.
on the personal side, for that." So, it does take practice, and it takes a level of, I think, just willingness,
Yeah.
too. There's a desire piece. Like, if you want to be better, then you're gonna put forth the effort, in order to be better.
So if someone were listening to this and saying, "Ashley, there's so much here," right? Like, there's so much depth and breadth and all this practice. Help me answer this question. What is the smallest shift that makes the biggest difference when an advisor is just starting out to build these skills?
Picking one thing,
Mm, yeah.
like, with all of our clients, you know, sometimes there are multiple competing priorities, desires, things that we want to take action on. And while it's good to be aware of and to know, like, these are all the things, we can't tackle them all at once. And so usually what we suggest or help with is, hey, let's just pick one thing that you just want to focus on maybe for the next quarter. Maybe it's not jumping into problem solving mode with your clients. Or maybe you have a handful of clients who are going to be making some pretty heavy, like, financial decisions. And maybe you want to work on this collaborative decision making, like, process, there. But let's just pick one thing and let's start small, build some confidence around it. Let's get some reps in, see how it goes, make it more natural, and then we can add to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think on that too, that one thing is the thing that they're willing to work on
Yeah.
and that they need to improve. I remember sitting even for the CFP exam years ago, and it was like, don't study the thing you already know. Study the stuff that you don't.
Yeah.
And so I love that kind of thought of like, do the next best thing, right? Like it may be hard, but just that one small thing will take you to the next step.
Agreed.
I love it. Well, Ashley, this has been fantastic. And if those of you that are interested in learning more about Ashley and bringing this keynote to your audience, go to financialbehaviorkeynote.com/speakers, and everything you need about Ashley is on that page. If you're wanting to apply this to your work, your events, or your own financial life, this is where those conversations help move forward. And that's why this podcast exists. When this episode, if it resonated with you, subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And every conversation we have on the show is designed to move the needle in how you think and talk about money. And we're glad you're here. Thanks for joining us on Financial Behavior Thought Leaders, where keynote ideas meet real world application. We'll see you next time.